Chapter 9. Interaction between siblings. Jiang replied with a faint smile. Of course. Then don't call me Miss Jiang. Just call me Ruye, that's what my family calls me. Ruye. Jiang Rui stared at her for a few seconds, then suddenly said, Xiaoyan, you're really good looking. Jiang Rui had heard from Grandma Jiang more than once that Xiaoyan was good looking. She believed in her aesthetic judgment, not thinking that Grandma Jiang only thought that her savior was good-looking because she had a filter when it came to the girl. Since Grandma Jiang said so, it meant that Xiaoyan was really good-looking. However, even though she was mentally prepared, when she saw Xiaoyan in person, Jiang Rui could not help but be amazed. Her sudden praise left Xiaoyan stunned for a moment. Then she smiled and said, Thank you, you are also very good-looking. Okay, both of you are very good-looking. Quickly, sit down. Grandma Jiang was very satisfied when she saw the two of them chatting and getting along so well. Xiaoyan, come and sit down, Jiang Rui insisted warmly. Xiaoyan walked over and sat down. Xiaoyan, this is my granddaughter, Jiang Rui. I mentioned her to you on the phone. Do you need me to introduce you further? Grandma Jiang looked at Xiaoyan with a smile. Xiaoyan replied, You don't need to introduce me. She then nodded slightly at Jiang Rui, who was looking at her. Her gaze fell on the gift bag that was placed on the solid wood tea table in front of her and said, I have prepared 4 gifts. 2 handkerchiefs are for first madam and second madam, respectively. The silk scarf is for Royer. I didn't see anything suitable for Grandma Jiang, so I brought along a string of Buddhist beads that I went to the temple with my elders to beg for a long time ago. Grandma Jiang believed in Buddhism. Buddhist beads. You are such a thoughtful child. Little Bowl, open it and take a look. Little Bowl was the woman beside Grandma Jiang. In the old house, everyone called her Auntie Bowl. Let me help, Jiang Rui insisted in high spirits. Holding the silk scarf, Jiang Rui exclaimed, Wow, this is too beautiful. It was indeed beautiful. Jiang Rui was not exaggerating. Even Grandma Jiang was a little surprised. The silk scarf and the 2 handkerchiefs were lying in the gift box. Whether it was the material or the workmanship, although they were not the best in the industry, they could not be bought anywhere. The embroidery was very delicate and exquisite. Looking at the string of Buddhist beads lying in the wooden box, they looked ordinary at first glance, but upon closer inspection, felt completely different. A sense of antiquity washed over her. Grandma Jiang believed in Buddhism and was very knowledgeable about Buddhist beads. With one look, she could tell that these were not ordinary Buddhist beads. Auntie Bowl saw Grandma Jiang staring at the Buddhist beads, so she picked them up and handed them to her. Grandma Jiang held them in her hand, gently stroking them. She was even more amazed. She looked at Xiaoyan and said, Xiaoyan, these... I was quite lucky. When I was out shopping, I happened to come across a good embroidery shop. I bought the scarves and handkerchiefs from that shop. The Buddhist beads were bought from the temple by my elders a long time ago. They are not expensive things. She sat there with her hands crossed on her lap. She sat very upright with a faint smile on her face, giving people a quiet and indifferent feeling. Grandma Jiang looked at her deeply and did not say anything more. Since it's from Xiaoyan, Grandma Jiang will accept it. The gift is very good. Xiaoyan has good taste. My 2 daughters-in-law are not in the old house, so I thank you on their behalf for the carefully prepared gifts. Jiang Rui said, I heard from Xiao Zhao on the phone that she took you to Xihua Street. I'm quite familiar with Xihua Street. How come I didn't know there was such a good embroidery shop there? At Xiao Zhao's insistence, Jiang Rui also called her Xiao Zhao. Xiaoyan met Jiang Rui's eyes and said with a smile, It's in an alley. Very few people usually go to that place. I accidentally walked there. I see. Then you're really lucky. When you have time, can you take me there? This embroidery is too exquisite. I want to buy 2 more pieces to give to my friends. The workmanship was exquisite, and the price would definitely not be too expensive. However, Jiang Rui did not raise the price. With Grandma Jiang's repeated emphasis on Xiaoyan's background, Jiang Rui knew in her heart that Xiaoyan was an orphan who lived a poor life in the countryside. As for the rest, she did not care. She only needed to know that Xiaoyan had put in a lot of effort in preparing this gift. Sure, let me know when you want to go. I'll take you there. Jiang Rui looked very happy after getting her confirmation. She held the silk scarf in her hand and stuck her face against it. She blinked her big watery eyes and looked at Xiaoyan. Xiaoyan, I like it so much. Thank you. Just as Xiaoyan was about to say something, a voice interrupted her. What do you like? Everyone looked in the direction of the voice. Someone was walking in from outside the door, his face cold and his aura threatening. The temperature around him seemed to have dropped a little with his appearance. The person who came was the young master of the Jiang family, Jiang. It was only a little past 5 in the afternoon. Usually, Jiang was still on his way back from the company to the Jiang family's old residence at this time. He first nodded to Grandma Jiang and greeted her. Grandmother. He turned to Jiang Rui once again and asked, "What do you like?" "Xiao Yan prepared a gift for me. Brother, look, isn't it beautiful?" Jiang Sheng's expression was cold and his aura was strong, but Jiang Rui did not seem to be afraid of him at all. She happily showed off the gift in her hand to him. Jiang Sheng's gaze fell on the silk scarf in Jiang Rui's hand. With his eyesight, he could tell at a glance whether the gift was good or bad. He was slightly surprised. He glanced at Shi Yan, who was sitting calmly beside Jiang Rui. "Yes, it's very beautiful," he replied to Jiang Rui. He then said to Shi Yan, "Miss Shi, you've spent a lot of money." His tone was still cold. Shi Yan did not care. She only smiled slightly in response. "Why are you back so early today?" Grandma Jiang asked. "I heard that you and Ruya came back, so I left work early." He walked over and sat beside Jiang Rui. "Brother, Xiao Yan didn't prepare gifts just for me. She also prepared gifts for grandmother, mother, and second aunt. Each gift is very exquisite. Xiao Yan has really good taste." Jiang Sheng's gaze swept across the other gifts and replied, "Yes, I see. Keep the gifts. But how can you scrutinize the gifts in front of the person who gave them to you?" With Jiang Sheng's reminder, Jiang Rui realized that it was indeed inappropriate for her to do so. It was fine if other people's gifts could withstand scrutiny. But if it was a very ordinary gift that could not, she would be suspected of deliberately embarrassing others. She took a look at Shi Yan and saw that she did not seem to care. So Jiang Rui felt slightly relieved and smiled. "I like it so much." She folded the silk scarf and put it back. "Xiao Yan, this is my brother, Jiang Sheng. You have met him, right?" Shi Yan smiled and nodded. "Yes, I've met him. When I first arrived at the Jiang family, young Master Jiang and Uncle Hai received me. We had dinner together that day." "Then Xiao Yan, your meal must have been very difficult. My brother likes to keep a cold face to everyone and he doesn't talk much. Besides, he's quite intimidating." It was really hard for Shi Yan to answer this question. Fortunately, she didn't need to answer it. Jiang Sheng's face darkened after hearing Jiang Rui's words. He knocked on Jiang Rui's forehead. "What do you mean I like to keep a cold face to everyone? Have I ever kept a cold face to you?" Jiang Rui cried out in pain and covered her forehead. "When haven't you ever kept a cold face to me? Not only did you keep a cold face to me, you often hit me." "I hit you? Jiang Rui, are you sure?" Jiang Sheng's face darkened. "Why, you hit me just now. It hurts so much." Jiang Sheng was about to pull on her hand. "Let me take a look." "I don't want to. Stay away from me. I don't have a brother as ruthless as you." Jiang Rui pretended to be angry and moved away from him towards Shi Yan. She even hugged Shi Yan's arm. Shi Yan didn't know what to do. "All right, it's fine if you and your sister usually make a scene. However, Xiao Yan just got home. Aren't you afraid that she'll laugh at you?" Grandma Jiang reprimanded, but her eyes were smiling. She said to Shi Yan, "They have always gotten along like this. Don't take it to heart." Shi Yan smiled and shook her head, indicating that it was fine. She did not say much. However, there was a flash of absent-mindedness in her expression. She had once. Chapter 10. Which man would benefit from it? That night, they had dinner in the main building. After dinner, Jiang Rui took Shi Yan for a walk, saying that she would personally help her to familiarize herself with the Jiang family's old mansion. Shi Yan did not refuse. Therefore, only Grandma Jiang and Jiang Cheng were left in the main hall of the main building. Looking at the backs of the two leaving girls, Grandma Jiang revealed a loving and gratified smile. "It seems that Ruya and Xiao Yan get along very well." "Indeed. It's rare to see Ruya get along so well with someone she just met," Jiang Cheng said, as he took a sip of tea. Grandma Jiang stroked the Buddhist beads on her wrist and asked Jiang Cheng, "Ah Cheng, what do you think of little Yan?" The Buddhist beads were Shi Yan's greeting gift to her, so she put them on. Jiang Cheng's hand, which was holding the teacup, paused, and he frowned slightly. "What do you mean?" Little Zhao had heard the private discussions of the servants in the old house. As the current head of the Jiang family in Sea City, how could Jiang Sheng hide it from his ears? He didn't want to hear these discussions anymore. He had originally planned to come back tonight and ask Jiang Hai to warn them. The old lady and Jiang Rui would be back soon, so he didn't have time to order Jiang Hai to do this. "I'm just asking what you think of this child, Xiao Yan. Why are you reacting so strongly? Are you worried that I'll set you up?" Grandma Jiang glared at him. I do want to set you up, but I think that child Xiaoyan doesn't have any interest in you at all. Jiang Sheng's brows furrowed deeper and deeper. Grandmother! All right, your grandmother isn't the kind of person who would randomly pick a couple. What's the rush? If you're not willing to let grandmother set you up now, don't regret it in the future. I won't. Jiang Sheng's tone was extremely firm. Fine. If you don't want to do it, then don't do it. Why are you speaking so loudly? Your grandmother isn't deaf. Grandmother is asking you very seriously. What do you think of this child, Xiaoyan? Seeing Jiang Sheng's face darken, it seemed as if he wanted to immediately get up and leave, so Grandma Jiang quickly said, I'm not asking you to answer me in the way a man looks at a woman. I'm simply asking you to evaluate Xiaoyan based on your impression of this child. I don't know who you take after with that temper of yours. Seeing that Grandma Jiang didn't seem to have any other intentions, Jiang Sheng said, She doesn't look like a child from the countryside at all. But Xiaoyan is really a child from the countryside. I stayed at Xiaoyan's house for more than half a month. Although I didn't specifically ask around, I've heard many things about Xiaoyan from my neighbors. She's a sensible child that's had a tough life. Jiang Sheng's gaze fell on the Buddhist beads on Grandma Jiang's wrist. At this time, Grandma Jiang was still stroking the string of Buddhist beads. Jiang Sheng frowned slightly. He knew that this was a gift from Shiyan to Grandma Jiang, as he had seen it in Grandma Jiang's courtyard just now. What does grandmother want to say? I just want to say that Xiaoyan is a child from the countryside. Grandmother wants to remind me not to investigate her? Grandma Jiang smiled at him. I didn't say that. You said it yourself. Jiang Cheng said, Don't worry, grandmother. I don't plan to investigate her. As long as she doesn't do anything harmful to the Jiang family in Sea City, she's just an honored guest invited here by grandmother. Xiaoyan saved my life. I've long treated her as my own granddaughter. Since she's an orphan and has no relatives, I plan to let her live in the old house from now on. I especially prepared the courtyard for her. Although the layout of the courtyard is different from Ruye's, the size is equivalent. In other words, Shiyan's status in this family was similar to Jiang Rui's. The Jiang family doesn't lack the money to raise a granddaughter, Jiang Sheng said. In other words, this matter was up to Grandma Jiang, and he would not interfere. Grandma Jiang looked at him and said, Send me back to the courtyard. It's tiring for an old skeleton to sit in one place for such a long time. Jiang Sheng put down the teacup and got up to help her. Jiang Rui skipped in front and turned to Shiyan with a smile. Little Yan, the scenery of the old house is not bad, right? The two of them walked in the garden of the Jiang family's old house. There were many flowers blooming this season, and they gave off a pleasant smell at night. Shiyan's eyes curved slightly. Yes. Jiang Rui slowed down her pace. Grandmother and I haven't been home for the past 2 days. It must have been boring for you to stay at home alone, right? I heard that you and my brother had one meal together and haven't seen each other since. My brother really doesn't know how to entertain guests at all. It's not boring. With Sister Zhao accompanying me, it's much livelier than when I'm at home. I'm always alone at home. That's right, she was an orphan. Jiang Rui did not pick up her pace anymore. She just walked beside Shiyan. Xiaoyan, I heard from grandmother that the environment at your home is very good. There are natural mountains, forests, and streams, and the scenery is picturesque. I've wanted to go there for a long time, so if there's a chance, please bring me there. Sure. If you don't mind the long journey and the difficulty of taking a plane or a car, you can come back with me during winter vacation. If you don't mind, then it's a deal. Shiyan smiled faintly. Okay. By the way, I heard from grandmother that you like reading. Yes. Do you have any other hobbies other than reading? When she met Shiyan's slightly puzzled gaze, Jiang Rui scratched her head in embarrassment and explained, Although my academic results are not bad, to be honest, I don't really like reading. It's all because of my brother, who forced me to. If my brother hadn't watched me review every day, I might not have been able to get such good results in the college entrance examination. I want to ask you if you have any other hobbies besides reading so that I can take you to play. Grandma gave me a task. She asked me to make sure that I help familiarize you with Sea City before school starts. Familiarizing her with Sea City was an exaggeration, of course. A first-tier city took up a large area, and even people who were born and raised here did not dare to say that they were familiar with it. I don't have any other hobbies, but I don't particularly hate doing things. If you are familiar with Sea City, you can make the arrangements. Grandma Jiang was full of good intentions, and she had already agreed to live in the Jiang family's old residence, so Shi Yan naturally wouldn't reject Grandma Jiang's request for Jiang Rui to entertain her. After all, Jiang Rui had just finished her college entrance exam and was bored. Then I'll make the arrangements myself? Okay. Shi Yan's eyes were curved. Under the street lamp, Jiang Rui was stunned by her smile. She came back to her senses and sighed. Xiao Yan, I've seen so many girls, but none of them are as beautiful as you. Shi Yan was a little confused. Why did the topic suddenly change to her appearance? You forgot to include yourself. Jiang Rui waved her hand. No. Although I'm also beautiful, I'm still a little less beautiful than you. Please believe in a good-looking dog's judgment of beauty. Shi Yan laughed. Xiao Yan, although I haven't spent much time with you, I can already tell that you have a very good personality, and you're so good-looking. I don't know which man will benefit from you in the future. Shi Yan didn't know what to say. She suddenly did not know whether she should tell Jiang Rui that her personality was better, or which man would benefit from her in the future. What man? There was no such creature in her life plan, although she did not seem to have any life plan now. Xiao Yan, do you have someone you like? Chapter 11. Time for the Jiang family banquet. Is there anyone you like? No one had ever talked to Shi Yan about this topic. Like many of her peers, she went to school step by step. However, in school, she did not take the initiative to get close to anyone. After all these years, she had been living alone. She did not have any friends or family around her, so there was even anyone to talk to her about this. Therefore, when she heard Jiang Rui ask her this, she felt that it was a little new. She smiled and shook her head. No, actually I don't have anyone either. After that, she chuckled and asked again. Then, Xiao Yan, what type do you like? Let me introduce you to someone. I know quite a number of young talents. Before Shi Yan could answer, she shook her head and said, Forget it. It's better not to introduce you. Although I know quite a number of young talents. When I look at you, I feel that those people don't seem to be worthy of you. Sigh, I really don't know which man you will benefit from in the future. The two of them chatted and laughed as they slowly walked back to their respective courtyards. Shi Yan washed up as usual and went to the study to read. She went back to her room to sleep around 11 o'clock. Meanwhile, Jiang Rui returned to her own courtyard. As soon as she entered the door, she saw that the living room's lights were on. She grinned in surprise. However, she quickly thought of something and adjusted her facial expression to hide her smile. Only then did she walk in with a straight face. What are you doing here? She snorted proudly. A person was sitting on the sofa in the living room. There was a laptop on his lap. Before Jiang Rui entered the door, he had been busy, his head lowered. When he heard the sound, he put down the laptop and looked at her. Are you still angry? There was a slight smile on his lips. It was the young master of the Jiang family, Jiang Cheng. Jiang Rui snorted arrogantly again. She lifted her chin and did not look at him. The smile on Jiang Cheng's lips deepened. I don't know how you developed your temper. You were clearly the one who slandered me in front of outsiders first. I wasn't angry, but you got angry instead. How did I slander you? Jiang Rui put her hands on her hips and pouted, looking spoiled and arrogant. You said I was cold to you, but isn't that slander? When have I ever been cold to you? I can't wait to hold you in my hands, you heartless little thing. Come here. Jiang Sheng patted the seat beside him. I made you a cup of milk. Come here and drink it. Jiang Rui raised her chin again and turned her face away, not looking at him. Jiang Sheng sighed softly and said, Ruye, we haven't seen each other for so many days. Are you going to quarrel with your brother the moment you come back? Don't you miss your brother at all? Seeing that Jiang Rui still did not want to talk to him, he did not feel angry. Instead, he continued, I took time out of my busy schedule to chat with you every day. As soon as I heard that you and Grandma were back, I rushed back from the company. Only a heartless person like you would not even inform me in advance that you were going to accompany Grandma on a long trip. I learned about it from someone else after you left. Jiang Rui's face stiffened. It was indeed unreasonable for her to accompany grandmother on a long trip without telling him in advance. She then turned her gaze to him with a look of unwillingness. All right, seeing that you're so sincere, I won't argue with you. Jiang Sheng couldn't help but laugh. Who was the one who didn't argue with whom? He picked up the milk on the wooden tea table in front of him and handed it to her. Drink this first. Jiang Rui took the milk, sat down beside him, and took a sip. She glanced at the computer in front of her and frowned. Brother, you didn't finish your work? Can't you rest properly even when you are home? Jiang Sheng closed the computer. I'm going to rest now. His hand landed on Jiang Rui's head and rubbed it twice. His tone was gentle, like no one had ever heard before. Don't frown. It's so ugly. Jiang Rui glared at him. Jiang Sheng was not angry. Instead, he laughed. Why are you only back now? Did you get along well with Miss She? Jiang Rui held the milk in both hands and drank it. When she heard that, she blinked her eyes and nodded frantically. Yes, we got along very well. How many times have I told you not to shake your head while drinking? It's easy to choke. He pulled out a tissue and wiped the milk off of the corner of Jiang Rui's lips. His movements were skillful. It was only your first time meeting today. How did you hit it off? I haven't seen you with many good friends in so many years. It's not easy for you to fall in love with someone. I can't really say. It's just that little Yan has a very special temperament that makes people feel very comfortable around her. Jiang Sheng raised his chin and pointed at her face. There's still milk on your face. I didn't get it. Jiang Sheng carefully wiped her face clean with a tissue. His movements and eyes were gentle. Isn't it because she's grandmother's guest that she forced herself to be polite? Of course not. When I hadn't seen her, I thought that little Yan was grandmother's savior, and that grandmother had invited her as a guest. As the eldest daughter of the Jiang family, and someone who is the same age as little Yan, I should do my best to take good care of her as the host. I followed grandmother's instructions and brought her to familiarize herself with the new environment. However, when I saw little Yan in person, I changed my mind. I want to be friends with her. Based on intuition? Regardless of the other party's background? Jiang Sheng asked, but his tone was not firm. Jiang Rui glanced at him. Isn't making friends based on intuition? Who makes friends depending on the other party's background? Brother, even though Xiaoyan has many behaviors that don't fit her status as an orphan girl from the countryside, I really don't think she is the kind of person with evil intentions. Seeing that Jiang Sheng did not speak, she said, even if you don't believe my judgment, you should at least trust Grandma. Xiaoyan is someone that Grandma invited over many times to stay at home. But brother, you're the one who's in charge of the family. You can't see things as simply as me and Grandma. You can't have the intention to harm others, but you can't be unwary of others. After all, the old residence is different from the past. We won't deliberately target Xiaoyan, but if she really has other intentions, brother, you don't have to worry about me just because we're friends. In my mind, nothing is more important than you and the Jiang family. Jiang Sheng stroked her long hair. Yes, I know. So you really intend to make her your friend? Yes. Since you want to make this friend, make it a good one. You can only make a true friend if you treat each other with sincerity. As for the rest, I'm here for you. You don't have to think too much about it. Jiang Rui raised her eyebrows proudly. I know, I'm just reminding you. I don't intend to make this friend without sincerity. Suddenly she moved closer to Jiang Sheng. But brother, when I was on my way back, I heard the servants whispering to each other. They said that grandmother brought little Yan to the old residence to set you up. Is that true? Jiang Sheng's eyes darkened visibly. It's not true. I've already asked Uncle Hai to pass down the order. There won't be such messy discussions in the old residence in the future. If there's no such thing, then there's nothing to worry about. Why are you being so fierce? Jiang Rui's tone was reproachful, but her eyes were curved. Seeing her like this, Jiang Cheng's arrogance disappeared in an instant. Finish the milk, then go upstairs to take a bath and sleep. I'm sure you haven't had a good rest in other people's houses in the past few days. I'll leave after you fall asleep. Xiaoyan, is there anywhere else you want to go next? Half a month later, in the living room of Shiyan's small building, Jiang Rui was flipping through the interesting places in Sea City with a tablet, talking to Shiyan beside her. In the past half-month, Jiang Rui had taken Shiyan out to play every day and went to many interesting places in Sea City. Jiang Rui did not call anyone else, so it was just the two of them. Shiyan was very satisfied that Jiang Rui did not call anyone else when she went out to play. She did not have a lively personality to begin with, and she just wanted to go out and play quietly. She did not like a noisy group of people. Didn't you say that today is your family's once-a-month mealtime? If your family is not very busy, will they come back at night? We won't go out today. Chapter 12. Who had she bewitched? Oh, right. I would have forgotten if you didn't mention it. Then we'd better not go out today. Otherwise, if we're too happy and forget to come back late, we'll be scolded by my mother again. Putting the tablet to the side, Jiang Rui asked Shiyan. Then Xiaoyan, how are we going to kill time today? I definitely can't stand to stay in the house all day. Shiyan put down the silent black screen of her phone and asked her with a chuckle, "How did you kill time before I came?" Seeing that Shiyan did not hold the phone in her hand for a few minutes, and that she did not open any apps during these few minutes, she casually tapped on the screen and put it down again. Jiang Rui sighed once again. Xiao Yan's self-control was really not something she could compare to. When I go to school, I go to school. When I don't go to school and don't have any homework to do, I either go to my brother's office to accompany him to work, or I invite a few girls to go shopping. However, before the college entrance examination, my studies were heavier. I spent most of my time studying, so I didn't have so much free time. Humans are really strange creatures. When I'm busy, I look forward to being free. It's fine if I have a few days of free time, but if I have too much free time, I'll get bored. I've been free for more than 2 months, and I feel like I've played with everything I need to play, and I don't seem to be interested in anything. It's fortunate that I have had you to accompany me during this half month. Otherwise, I wouldn't know how to spend these few days. Don't have any hobbies? Jiang Rui thought for a moment and shook her head. No, I don't seem to have anything particularly annoying, but I also don't have anything that I particularly like. She glanced at the book beside Shiyan and said, "Unlike you, who likes reading, as long as you have books to read, you won't feel bored even if you stay in for an entire day." Shiyan smiled faintly and did not say anything. "We've been outside these few days. The last time I accompanied you around the old house was at night. Why don't I accompany you around the old house today? I heard from Xiao Zhao that before Grandma and I came back, you liked to take books to the pavilion by the lotus pond and read. After a while, I'll accompany you there to read," Jiang Rui suddenly suggested. "I can read, but what about you? Won't you feel bored?" Shiyan asked with a smile. "I'll get someone to find a fishing rod. You read, and I'll fish. I can't stay in one place for too long, but fishing is an exception. I can stay still for a long time when I'm fishing." Shiyan smiled at her. Jiang Rui felt a little guilty under her gaze. She quickly promised, "Really, I can stay still if I'm fishing." Shiyan smiled and said, "Okay, then I'll go to the study room to find 2 books. Get someone to prepare the fishing equipment and send them to the pavilion first. We'll walk around the courtyard for a while, then go there directly." Staring at Shiyan's back as she got up and went upstairs, Jiang Rui asked Xiao Zhao, who was sitting on another sofa and using her phone to study a new cooking method. "Xiao Zhao, what did Xiao Yan mean by that smile just now? Does she not believe me?" Although Xiao Zhao was studying the new cooking method, he had heard their conversation. Hearing this, she smiled and asked, "Miss, do you think you can stay here just because you believe that you can fish?" "Humph. If you don't believe that I can stay still, then I'll stay here and show you. Today, I'll fish for as long as little Yan reads in the Lotus Pond Pavilion." "Little Yan, are you almost done reading your book?" The 2 of them strolled around the courtyard for about an hour before they went to the pavilion. Shiyan read while Jiang Rui fished. In less than an hour, Jiang Rui couldn't sit still anymore. Shiyan shifted her gaze away from the books and looked at her in amusement. Jiang Rui's face immediately turned red. She was embarrassed for overestimating herself. "I took 2 books. I was only halfway through the first one," Shiyan said. Shiyan was sitting at the stone table in the pavilion reading. At that time, she was holding a book, and there was another book on the stone table beside her. Jiang Rui was even more embarrassed. Just as she was thinking of an excuse to leave first, Shiyan found an excuse for her. Shiyan smiled and asked, "Do you have other things to do? If you have something to do, just go and do it. You don't have to stay here with me. I'm focused on reading, so it doesn't matter if I'm alone." Yes, I have other things to do. But Xiaoyan, is it okay for you to be here alone?" "It's okay. Before you and Grandma Jiang came back, I often came here alone to read." Her gaze fell on the pile of fishing equipment. "As for your things, do you need someone to help you pack them up?" No, I can pack them up myself." What a joke. She did not want others to know how embarrassing it had been for her to not be able to hold on for long. Seeing that Shiyan was about to stand up to help, Jiang Rui quickly waved her hand and said, "Read your book. Don't worry about me. I can clean it up myself." She could clean it up, but Jiang Rui's hair was scattered. Although her slightly curly hair was not as long as Shiyan's, it was not short either. It almost reached her waist. With her hair scattered like this, she had to pack up a lot of things to take back. In fact, it was a bit of a hindrance. Her gaze suddenly landed on Shiyan's rubber band and her high ponytail. Her eyes lit up. "Xiaoyan, lend me the rubber band on your head to tie up my hair. My hair is too much of a hindrance." Shiyan glanced at her. It was indeed quite a hindrance. She took off the rubber band and walked over to pass it to her. However, she did not know who was mesmerized by the scene of her getting up and walking over while taking off the rubber band. Two people happened to pass by not far away, and one of them happened to see this scene. He stopped in his tracks, his eyes flashing with amazement. That is... The person next to him also stopped and followed his line of sight. When he saw the girl in the gazebo, he frowned slightly. My sister? Of course I know your precious sister. I'm asking who the other girl is. Jiang Cheng's brows relaxed slightly. His gaze then turned to Xian, who was beside Jiang Rui. She's my grandmother's guest. Your grandmother's guest? Is she the girl who recently saved your grandmother's life and was brought over by your grandmother from the countryside to live in your house? Xian had already been in Sea City for more than half a month. Not only had she stayed in the Jiang family's old residence, but she had also been personally receiving Jiang Rui, the eldest daughter of the Jiang family, for the past half a month. It was impossible for the outside world to not hear about it. After all, the Jiang family's status in Sea City was extraordinary. The young master of the Jiang family, Jiang Cheng, was the most popular person in the family. Many people were guessing the reason why old Madame Jiang had brought an orphan girl from the countryside to stay at her home. Most of them thought that old Madame Jiang had taken a fancy to her and intended to let her live as her granddaughter-in-law. Therefore, many people in the outside world knew about Xian's existence, but very few people knew her name and what she looked like. So it's her. Didn't you say that she grew up in the countryside? Why don't I look like her? None of the socialites he had met could compare to her looks and temperament. Jiang Cheng glanced at him and did not reply. He simply walked towards the pavilion. The man behind him rolled his eyes and quickly followed. Ah, Cheng, I heard that people outside are saying that Grandma Jiang brought this girl over to your house. Is she trying to set you up with her? Jiang Cheng stopped in his tracks. He frowned and looked at him sharply. No, I don't want to hear such things again. The man was not frightened by his gaze. He smiled lazily. Fine, I won't say it. I heard it from the outside. Then he whispered something behind him. Jiang Cheng did not hear it clearly, or maybe he did, but he did not care. Chapter 13. Xian's book fell. Jiang Rui, who was suddenly struck by her beauty, stared at her with wide eyes. It took her quite a while to come back to her senses. Xiaoyan, your hair is so perfect when it's down. Why do you always tie it up? You look so good like this. It's not convenient, Xiaoyan said as she handed her the rubber band. Don't you want this? Yes, of course. Jiang Rui took it and tied her hair into a high ponytail. Seeing that she was carrying a pile of things and an empty bucket, Xian asked, Do you really not need help? I can help you move the things back first. No, I can do it myself. At this moment a voice came. Ruier. Seeing the person, Jiang Rui asking in surprise, Eh? Brother, why are you here? Aren't you at the company at this time? Why are you at home? I came back to get something. His gaze fell on the pile of things that she was struggling to hold. What are you doing? As he spoke, he had already walked over to help Jiang Rui take some of the things. Fishing. I originally planned to fish here, but I didn't see any fish today. I didn't catch a single one. It wasn't interesting, so I decided to pack up and go back. Looking at the schools of fish in the lotus pond, Jiang Cheng was confused. Why didn't you call someone over to help? I can do this small thing by myself. There's no need to trouble others to come. But since you're here, brother, help me get everything. Xiaoyan still wants to read here, so we won't disturb her. Let's go. Only then did she see the people who came with Jiang Cheng. Second brother Han is here too. The things your brother came back to get are what I wanted. Since there's nothing else, we came together. Although he was talking to Jiang Rui, Handi's gaze had been fixed on Xiaoyan. Jiang Rui saw it and instantly understood. Then let's go. When my brother helps me take these things back, you guys can go back to your work. She did not plan to introduce them. However, Handi didn't seem to want to stop there. He looked at Xiaoyan and asked, This is... The surprise in his eyes couldn't be hidden. However, Xiaoyan acted as if she didn't see it. She smiled faintly and nodded at Jiang Cheng. Then her gaze fell on Jiang Rui. Her expression was indifferent. Since he had already asked, it would be rude to ignore him. Only then did Jiang Rui begin to introduce them. This is Xiaoyan, my grandmother's savior and also her guest. Xiaoyan, this is Handi, the second young master of the Han family in Sea City. He's my brother's good friend. Hello, Miss Shi. Nice to meet you. Handi reached out his hand to Xiaoyan. Xiaoyan glanced at him and was about to shake his hand. Yeah, it's so heavy. Second brother Han, please help me take some. Thank you. Jiang Rui handed the bucket to Handi. Looking at the extra bucket in his hand, Handi was surprised. He looked at Jiang Rui. Jiang Rui acted as if she did not see his complaint. She waved at Xian and turned around to leave. We'll be leaving first, Xiaoyan. I won't disturb you while you're reading. Xian curved her lips into a smile and retracted her hand. She nodded slightly at Handi as a form of acknowledgement to him that she was very happy to meet him. Under such circumstances, it was a little inappropriate to shift the bucket and extend his hand to shake her hand. Handi's current mood was really difficult to describe. In addition, Jiang Rui and Jiang Cheng had both turned around and left, so it was not good for him to stay too long to help carry the things. He could only smile and nod at Shiyan before following the two of them. Looking at Jiang Rui's back view, Handi's eyes were filled with grievance. This girl must have done it on purpose. However, he knew very well how much Jiang Sheng doted on his sister. He knew that she did it on purpose, but he could do nothing about it. He did not even dare to say it out loud. As for the reason, should he tell them that he had taken a liking to a girl the moment he saw her? This made him seem very unstable. He heard that Miss Xiyan had entered Sea City's university to study here. In that case, she would have to stay in Sea City for at least 4 years. Then he would take it slow. 4 years was enough. Xiyan did not know what Handi was thinking after he had left. In other words, she did not care. After they left, the pavilion in the lotus pond became quiet again. She sat down and continued to read. The pavilion did not have a cloister that extended into the pond, but it was close to the shore. Walking out of the pavilion was an asphalt path. However, this place was filled with the color of a lotus pond, and there were willows by the pond. In addition, very few people came here, so it was very quiet. An hour later, Xiyan finished reading a book. She closed the book and placed it on the stone table. She did not immediately read the next one. Instead, she looked at the vibrant lotus pond in front of her and let her eyes rest. After her eyes had rested enough, she still did not immediately open the next book. Rather, she took the phone that was placed on the stone table and lit up the screen to unlock it. She did not pick it up. She just put the phone on the stone table and poked at the screen with one hand. After a few pokes, the screen turned black again. From the beginning to the end, she did not open any software. She just stared at the calm surface of the phone. She put the dark-screened phone to the side and picked up the other book. The breeze blew gently. The weeping willows around her made a slight rustling sound. The black hair of the girl who was quietly reading in the pavilion was also blown gently. Her delicate face was completely exposed, falling into the eyes of the people under the weeping willows not far away. Under the weeping willows, a man in a white shirt was sitting in a wheelchair. His face was exquisite, and he had a pair of deep, distant eyes. He was leaning against the back of the wheelchair and sitting there, the beautiful scenery around him eclipsed by him. At this moment, he was looking at the girl who was reading in the pavilion in the lotus pond not far away. The girl was dressed in an ordinary white t-shirt and black pants, with her hair casually draped over her shoulders. She had not put on any makeup, but she was even more beautiful than the most dazzling plum blossom that bloomed in the winter snow. There was a sense of indifference around her body that had been washed away. She was like a lady who had walked out of a picture. The temperament of a lady from a noble family did not need to be deliberately expressed. The temperament of a lady seemed to be carved into her bones. As he was watching, he saw the girl pick up the phone. The sound of the wind blowing against the surrounding vegetation was quite loud. Due to the fact that he was quite far away, he did not hear what the girl said very clearly. He only saw her close the book in her hand after she hung up the phone, as if she was going to pack up her things and leave. Her movements were not fast. There was a sense of calm and unhurriedness in her movements. It was unknown what was driving him, but the man's hand pressed on the button on the armrest of the wheelchair, and the wheelchair followed the asphalt path towards the gazebo. By the time he reached the gazebo, the girl had already left. She was about 10 meters away from him. It had been an impulsive move, and now that he was awake, he didn't intend to chase after her anymore. However, he suddenly saw that a book had fallen on the ground in front of him. The cover of the book should have been the one the girl had just read. Pressing the wheelchair's button again, the wheelchair moved forward. The man bent down to pick up the book. Looking at the girl's back in front of him, he said softly, "You dropped your book." Chapter 14. She had no desires. His voice was gentle and clear, drifting into the girl's ears along with the wind. She stopped and turned around slowly. Her eyelashes trembled slightly. Xiyan had seen many men who she felt were outstanding. Among them, there were many who were handsome and had an outstanding temperament. However, none of them made her heart skip a beat at first sight. The man's appearance was undoubtedly unique. Looking at him, he was 25 years old and sitting in a wheelchair in a white shirt, his face pale and a little sickly. His temperament was noble, gentle, and reserved. She had read many books, especially ancient literature. She had never quite understood what the book meant when it said, "A stranger like a jade master is unparalleled in the world." Or rather, she had never quite understood what kind of temperament that was. At this moment she seemed to suddenly understand. However, she did not know that when she looked back, the hand holding the book in the wheelchair could not help but tighten a little. She had a beautiful smile and a pair of beautiful eyes. It was an apt description for her. He opened his mouth again. "You dropped your book?" His voice was as mellow as wine, and as clear as the spring in the mountains. As the sound of the wind entered her ears, Jiang felt as if her heartbeat had skipped a beat. She had always been calm and composed. Very few things could stir up her emotions, but today she was acting strangely again and again. Her gaze fell on the book he was holding. His 10 fingers were slender, fair, and well-defined. He wore a white jade ring on his thumb. The ring gave off a quaint aura, making his hand look even more pleasing to the eye. She was not careless. She had never been careless. She always did things in an orderly manner. This was the first time she had dropped something, and it was her favorite book. The key was that she did not even notice that the book had fallen. If she was holding a bunch of books in her hands, it would be understandable if she did not notice that she had dropped one. However, she had only brought 2 books with her today. Still, it was fine if she did not notice that the book had fallen. However, the other party had come in a wheelchair, and she did not even hear the sound of the wheelchair rolling. Was it because the sound of the wind blowing through the surrounding vegetation was so loud that it covered the other sounds? Or was it because she was distracted by something else? Perhaps it was both. The reason did not seem to be that important. She walked over and took the book from the other party's hands. "Thank you." Sunlight shone through the sparse branches onto the 2 of them. One of them was standing while the other was sitting. The actions of the person handing over the book and the person taking the book actually had an indescribable beauty. It was unknown whether it was because the surrounding scenery was so beautiful, or because both of their looks and temperament were outstanding. Perhaps it was both. Jiang took the book and held it in her arms. Logically speaking, she should have left after thanking him. Jiang was about to move, but she retracted her footsteps and looked at the man in the wheelchair. She suddenly bumped into his good-looking eyes. "You." After a pause, Jiang asked, "Sir, are you going out alone? Do you need me to send you back?" It was a good excuse for him to appear here alone in a wheelchair. In fact, she originally wanted to ask him how to address him, but she retracted her words when she felt that it was inappropriate. The man looked at her for a few seconds and asked, "Will it be too troublesome for you?" His voice was gentle, and his temperament was gentle. Jiang smiled sweetly. "No, I'm fine." She had just received a call from little Zhao asking her to go back for lunch. As it was the Jiang family's family banquet tonight, Grandma Jiang was used to keeping an eye on the kitchen to cook on this day. For lunch today, Grandma Jiang had told her to settle it with Jiang Rui on her own. There was no need to wait for her. After Jiang Rui and Jiang Sheng ate together, Xiao Zhao brought her lunch to her place. With her personality, it was only reasonable for her to rush back for lunch. However, "I'll have to trouble you then." Even if there was no smile on his face, a man with a gentle and noble temperament would not make others feel cold and distant. Jiang responded with a faint smile. Just as she was about to go around and push the wheelchair, the man's gaze fell on the book in her hand. "Give me the book. It's not convenient for you to push the wheelchair." Jiang glanced at the book in her hand and smiled as she handed both books over. She waited for the other party to take them before she went around to push the wheelchair. "Where does Sir live?" She pushed the wheelchair as she walked. She could only see the top of his hair, his shoulders, his exquisite side profile, his fair neck, and the hand that was holding the book on his lap. She could not see his face, but even so, Jiang's heart could not be considered calm. Had she ever wanted anything special since she was a child? It seemed that she did not. She was very indifferent to everything. Take food and lodging, for example. Whether she lived in a big old mansion, a luxurious villa, or a cottage in the mountains, and whether she ate delicacies from the mountains, ordinary side dishes, or wild vegetables and coarse grains, it didn't make much of a difference to her. She didn't have any requirements for these things. But now... "Bamboo garden," the man's clear and pleasant voice sounded. "Bamboo garden?" Shi Yanwei was surprised. She had lived in the Jiang family's old house for more than half a month. Although she spent most of her time hanging out with Jiang Rui and rarely strolled around the old house, she didn't wander around the old house. Instead, she stayed in the places where she often walked around. However, she knew which courtyard the Jiang family's old house was in and who lived there. She remembered this bamboo garden especially well because it was the residence of the fifth master Jiang, who seemed to be very secretive among the people in the Jiang family's old house in Sea City. The fifth master Jiang, who lived in seclusion due to his poor health. Shi Yan's gaze fell on the man's exquisite side profile. Speaking of which, she had more or less heard the names of other people in the Jiang family. After all, she had also talked on the phone with Grandma Jiang for 3 years. However, it seemed that she had never heard anyone mention this fifth master Jiang's name. Whenever he was mentioned, it was always fifth master Jiang. Grandma Jiang naturally did not address him as fifth master Jiang. However, up until now, Grandma Jiang had only mentioned fifth master Jiang to her once. This was when Grandma Jiang and Jiang Rui had dinner together on the night they returned from their trip. Grandma Jiang had simply mentioned him to her. At that time, Grandma Jiang had said, "Fifth master is not in good health and likes to be quiet. He doesn't like to be disturbed by others. He lives in the bamboo garden. Xiaoyan, if you accidentally walk near the bamboo garden, don't stay too long." At that time, she had responded with a smile. Other than feeling that this fifth master of the Jiang family was really mysterious, she did not have any other thoughts. At that time, her thoughts were that left and right had nothing to do with her. "Miss, do you know where the bamboo garden is?" He suddenly turned his head, and Shi Yan didn't have the time to react. Then she smiled and said, "I know." The bamboo garden was called the bamboo garden because it was located in a bamboo forest. There was only one bamboo forest in the Jiang family's old residence. She had seen it from afar when she was strolling around, so it wasn't difficult to find it. After that, the two of them didn't say anything else. One of them was sitting quietly in a wheelchair while the other was quietly pushing the wheelchair. They had only met each other less than half an hour, so they couldn't be considered to know each other. However, the scene was surprisingly harmonious.